We're back here at Hustler. Got the chips in hand, 100K buy-in today. Gonna play 5,100 here at Hustler, and I'm looking forward to it. I haven't played a whole lot of cash lately, but I've been playing a lot online on Club WPT Gold, where I'm actually hosting my very own tournament. It's a 40K guarantee and 500 buy-in. I'm giving away 5K for those who use code Rampage at sign-up. So if you want to take some free money, play in a tournament with me on Sundays, you can do that online. But for now, we've got a cash game. Let's hope to continue running hot. I've had some success lately. We can just turn this 100K into maybe 200K. I'm not that greedy. We'll just double it up and call it a nice little Friday session. I start off with a friendly $20,000 buy-in, but rest assured this game will be playing very high stakes with the cast of characters in tonight's lineup, with multiple six-figure pots brewing tonight. The very first shuffle gets started with Queen 8 offsuit in the cutoff. I raise a 600 and get called by the blinds and straddle. The flop comes Jack 10-9, so this is the most incredible start I could ask for, flopping a straight, and even better, Dimitri leads out for $1,200. Turbo makes the call, and now let's get the pot a bit bigger here. I bump things up to $4,000, and Dimitri decides to just go all in. Turbo folds, and of course I snap call. So right off the bat, in hand number one, we are already playing an all-in pot with $42,000 in the middle. I've got the best of it, but Dimitri has a pretty monstrous draw. He wants to run this board 2 times, and I happily agree. Let's try to fade some spades here and scoop to start off hot.
Fine. All right, 2 times.
Thank God for the voice.
There's a flush for Dimitri on the first board.
Pays to be a good person.
Well, you know what?
And everyone loves a chopped pot, right? At least Dimitri wanted to run it twice, and we don't lose any money here the first hand of the night. Very shortly after, we start a $500 stand-up game, and I put the $400 straddle on. Let's get cracking with Turbo raising to $1,400. Mike, my right, makes the call, and I see a premium with Ace Queen. I raise it up to $6,400 off of a $20,000 stack, so I'm more than ready to get it in here with Ace Queen. Turbo goes all in, and here we go. I got my wish, and we're going to run it 1 time, but I see the bad news. I'm dominated here, and I gotta get lucky to somehow find a way to win.
Let's go 1 time. I'll run it once.
Got him in for 20K.
Is that the blackjack? Okay.
Rampage.
Well,
It's a 10 now.
Jacks.
Doesn't find it.
No dice for me. I ship the $20,000 over to Turbo and reload for another $20,000. So for the first 5 minutes of this stream, I've already played 2 $40,000 pots, and there's going to be plenty of more action tonight. A few minutes later, we get involved again. Nick raises to 300, Mike and I call in the blinds, and before we see a flop, I gotta let you know I'm hosting my very own online tournament. It's a dream come true for me, but more about that later. The flop comes 7-6-4 to spades. Seems very favorable for the big blind here, and with a double gutter, I decided to lead for 500 into the field. Nick is the only caller, and I'm going to need some help. But the turn 9, bink! If you run as hot as I am right now and win the Rampage tournament, I'm giving away an extra $5,000 for the first place finisher if you sign up with my code. I bet again for $1,500 here on this turn card, and Nick calls once again. So let's hope to see a non-action killing card, please. The Queen of Spades. That's exactly the card I didn't want to see. I slow down and check, but now onto airball, and he just jams almost 3x pot for $17,000. I snap call with the best straight possible, and I'm going to win here. Somehow find a way to get all the money in the middle in this 40K pot, and you can win the $40,000 guaranteed tourney every single Sunday from the comfort of your own home. Join me by clicking the link below and enter my name during account creation. New members will also receive a 20 chip bonus, so I'll see you guys in there. I get my money back quickly with the 10-8 offsuit, so we're really swinging today in these $40,000 pots, and I'm back to even on the session. Then another big hand occurs. Turbo raises to 900, and I look down at another premium in Ace King. I raise it up to 4,500 with my newfound chips, and what's even more concerning though is Turbo puts in yet another raise to 11,000. I feel like if there's ever a time to actually fold Ace King pre-flop, it might be right now. Turbo doesn't seem like the kind of player to make light 4-bets, and playing out of position is quite uncomfortable, so I just let Turbo have it with a fold. What's a little tilting is that I asked Magic to see a flop, and of course it comes clean with King High, but seeing the footage now, I'm quite happy to have made this fold as Turbo had queens. And 5 minutes after that, Mike raises to 600. I call with pocket eights, and now Francisco next to act makes another massive raise to 4,800. Action folds back to me, and this massive raise doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. So after folding Ace King pre-flop, I decide to be all in with pocket eights. So we're not even 30 minutes into the session yet, and we have another $46,000 pot all in pre-flop, and this time it's a pure flip. This hand could get me right into the black today, or could bury me early in the session. So I'm rooting for no ace or no queen, please.
Eights are good so far. And
Pocket eights will hold, and we are back after an insanely swingy start with all of these big pots going on. I'm up $15,000 to start the day, but an even crazier stat is that I'm rocking an 80% VPIP. For those who don't know, that means that I've played 80% of the hands I've been dealt today, which is just crazy. But in the next round of degenerate gambling, Mariano raises from the early position to 700 with the straddle on. I call in the big blind with the premium, King Jack of spades, and so does Francisco, who makes the call. Flop comes Ace Ace 10, a board that should really favor Mariano, and he does bet out 700. With my straight draw and some backdoor potential, I make the call, and Francisco calls as well. The turn 9 of clubs really doesn't help me much, but it's very nice to see that everyone decides to check. And the river deuce of spades, another blank. And once again, I check with my king high. I'm not really sure if I have to bluff at this pot here, but then Francisco takes the opportunity to bet out 2,200. Mariano makes the very quick fold and back onto me. I'm not sure if my hand can call much, to be honest with you. Maybe he's just betting a 10, but I don't think he has an ace. So I'm trying to apply the most pressure on Francisco here with a large check raise to 15,000, and I'm praying for a fold. What's crazy is that you can see the hands on the screen here. It's always a little nerve-wracking trying to get people to fold off a pair, but luckily I just had the best hand. King high is going to get this one done. This check raise and bluff gets through, and I'll win another hand. About an hour goes by now, and I look down at pocket kings. Mike limps in for 200, and I raise it up to 1,400, trying to build a pot here. But now Mariano wakes up with the hand of his own and 3-bets me to 7,000. I don't have a ton in my stack here. I've got like 40,000, so I call and play in position. Flop of 7-6-6, 2 hearts. Overall, very safe flop here, sitting with my very strong overpair. And now Mariano starts off with a bet of 8,000. And I just have no reason to blow him off here with a raise, so I make the call. The turn 6 is the dreamiest card to see. Now I have a full house. I'm just not afraid of really anything now. And what's even better is Mariano decides to just go all in. I've got an easy call to make, and here we go. With an $80,000 pot brewing, I've got 97% equity. By far, this is the biggest pot of the night, and I'll win this one and double up. It feels like tonight is going to be my night again. I've swung up and down a lot so far today, but I'm up over $40,000 2 hours into the stream. If you want to run hot, let's channel all the good luck my way by hitting that like button. It really helps the channel and motivates me to keep playing these high stakes cash games. Following Pocket King's hand, we enter one of the largest pots of the night. Let's strap in here as Airball raises to 2,000 from the small blind. The $400 straddle is on, and I decide to just call Ace Jack of diamonds here, playing in position. Francisco makes the call as well, but Mariano makes a pretty large raise to 15,000. This is a very huge raise, but we do know his playstyle, and he's certainly capable of getting frisky. So when Nick folds, I decide to just make the call, Although it's concerning, it might be tricky to play this hand out of position, but I'm hoping to flop something nice, and it comes Queen 8 4, 2 diamonds. This is considered a miraculous flop for me with the nut flush draw against Mariano, who could really be holding almost any 2 cards. He starts off with a small bet of 12,000, and given the fact that I have less than a 2-to-1 stack to pot ratio, I'm drawing to the nuts and I'm going to fast play. I bump things up with the raise to 35,000. It's basically putting my entire stack into the middle, and you see, we are going to be playing for all of it. A $164,000 pot is brewing here, and it's my flush draw versus Mariano's very sneaky 2 pair. There's some confusion about how many times we want to run it, and ultimately Mariano decides to run it 1 time. So let's do it. There's no chopping available in this pot, so I'm either going to be down $40,000 if I brick, or be up $120,000 if I hit. This is quite a massive swing of money, and my heart is racing, hoping to hit that diamond.
One time.
One time.
I like it. One time.
One time.
And of course, the diamond comes, but it's just the worst one, giving Mariano a full house, and I'm completely drawing dead. My hopes to be up all the money is literally flushed down the drain. It's time to rebuild now, with plenty of time left in the stream, but to be honest, this is pretty demoralizing here with a chance to be up so much money. But I add on for $160,000. I've officially bought in for $200K now. Like I said, this is quite the change of pace from my $20,000 min buy-ins to start. But I'm trying to go for blood and win my money back. And when I look down at ace 6 of hearts, I raise to 600, which gets a flurry of calls pre-flop. And the flop comes Queen 9 8 2 hearts. We've got a flush draw and a dream, but I decide to check to Francisco, who bets out 1,300. 2 of the other opponents make the call, and now back onto me. I'm really trying to thin out the field here on a very connected board. I decide to check raise to 6,000, drawing to the nuts. Francisco seems like is the only taker, so I'm really just begging to hit a heart with 17,000 in the middle now, and the turn comes a 9. The board pairing is quite scary, so I decided to check, but it feels a little bit more comfortable seeing Francisco check back. And the river comes a heart, but it's an 8, so the board is double paired. And I'm trying to think to myself, how much can I really pull out of this hand? It's very thin to go for value here, but a flush is a flush. So he has a full house. I might hear from him, but I'm going to put 11,000 into the middle. And Francisco thinks it's an appropriate amount by putting in the call. And this feels great as I win this $39,000 pot. And I'm slowly trying my best to crawl out of the hole I found myself in. I'm down $30,000 now, but at least there's plenty of time to get out of this mess. In the next spot, Turbo limps in for 200, which I haven't actually seen from him all night. With ace 4 of hearts from the blinds, I raise it up to 1,600, which gets some action from Francisco and Turbo. Flop comes ace 8 3, which is overall a very nice flop to see with an ace, but my kicker is quite horrible. So I take the conservative route and check, and everyone ends up checking back, so I feel a little bit better about my top pair. Turn king of hearts, and given all the passive action now, this looks like a pretty great card for me to see, so I bet out 4,000 into the middle, sizing up as my opponents could easily call me with a king. Turbo makes the call now, where I'm still feeling confident I might have the best hand here, and the river deuce, another blank that doesn't change the whole board at all. And again, I'm seeing the opportunity to get some value here. Maybe I'm getting a little too greedy, but I do bet out 10.5 thousand into the middle, and it's great news in my head as Turbo thinks about it for a while. And the more he thinks, the more I'm actually hoping he makes the call, which just shows how confident I was in having the best hand. But when he does make the call and turn over the better ace, now all my confidence leans to me towards thinking I'm kind of an idiot. I'm already losing in the game, and this hand puts me into a deeper hole. And what's worse, I have no one to blame for losing this pot other than myself. So after losing that hand, I load up for all the money that I brought in with me today. I'm adding my last $50,000 into my stack, and I am officially into the game for $250,000 now. $250,000 here with all of it on the line, and I see a beautiful ace king. Mike raises the cutoff to 500, and once again I'm taking the aggressive route with the raise to 1800. Francisco makes the call, and now onto Mariano, who puts in yet another raise this time to 8,800. Even though I did fold ace-king to turbo earlier, this is a little bit different. We're playing against Mariano, and now playing $200,000 deep against him in position. I make the call, and this pot could just get huge. Flop of 10, 4, 5, 2 clubs comes, and I've completely whiffed here, but that won't stop either of us from putting money in the middle. Mariano starts off with a $10,000 bet. It's half pot, and sitting with the ace of clubs is nice to see, as I could go runner clubs. I make the call hoping to see a good turn card. The turn comes a 4, which pairs the board, and yet still Mariano takes the initiative to bomb out $38,000. And I am very, very, very suspicious of Mariano here. Of course, he can have all the good hands like pocket tens through aces, but my hand just has some pretty good properties to continue again. So we're off to a nearly $120,000 pot with just ace high. I would love to just hit something and see an easy decision on the river, please. When the river comes, the 6 of spades. Well, this is not the most fun situation to be in now. All I can do is just beg and pray that Mariano could be bluffing and finds the give up button. But if he does have anything strong, I do expect him to bomb out another pot-sized bet. And we get some bad news as his hands reaches for chips, which is never a sign of a check clearly. But instead of a massive bet that I was expecting, he goes for $60,000, which is only half pot at this point, and I'm once again extremely suspicious yet again. I'm trying to think myself into circles here at one point, but I'm just not sure why he would go for half pot. If he had a strong hand like he was representing, wouldn't he want to be all in? My spidey senses are tingling, but this moment is just extremely intense for me. I have a decision here where if I call, I'll either be down nearly $180,000 if I'm wrong, or if I'm right, I'd be up $60,000. So this is a $236,000 pot if I were to commit the chips in, but I have such a hard time trusting my gut in spots like these, given all the hardship I've faced making wrong decisions. People always say, lean on your gut and your intuition, but it's been a very difficult process for me, and this time I go against it with the fold, and now seeing that it's the wrong fold is even more of a painful pill to swallow. For those watching right now, I'm very curious if you've ever been through something like this. Let me know what you've done to pull yourself out of the rut, because right now it seems like I'm just making all the wrong decisions, and this one certainly hurt. The following hand has some bounty game dynamics at play. I've won 2 hands in a row, so winning this one means an extra $1,000 from everyone at the table. So with how much I'm down, you know I'm going to be fighting hard for this pot here. So with the 9-5 offsuit on the button, I'm juicing this pot up with a raise to 2,000, and I get turbo to make the call. Flop comes 6 deuce deuce 2 hearts, and I'm praying turbo can find a fold here. No way he could have connected, right? I bet $2,000, but I see a call from my opponent. So it looks like I'm going to have to work for this hand here. The turn 4 of diamonds, I improve to a straight draw, and that is just enough reason for me to continue betting. I fire out 10,000 into the middle, and sadly, turbo does not give up. And even worse, he actually raises me to 25,000. I'm already in a pretty bad spot, and I can't help myself now in this tilted state. I call, trying to chase some sort of my straight draw or pair or really anything. And the river jack of hearts is not the pair I'm looking for. And yeah, I'm just going to make a quick fold after turbo bets out 35,000, so it's just more money down the drain. And this is where things might get off the rails, to be honest. My hole is even deeper, and I can't find a way to stop this bleeding. And about 30 minutes later, I'm once again involved in the bounty game dynamics. I've won 2 in a row again, and I'm still trying to cash in on 3 in a row. Winning 3 in a row will net me an extra $5,000 in incentive from everyone at the table. So when I look down at 4 deuce offsuit, I certainly can't fold. I limp in along with the others. Flop of jack 10-5 is just a whole lot of nothing for the premium 4 deuce offsuit. But that won't stop me from at least trying to thin out the field, right? I bet 1,500, and Mariano is the only caller. Well, the turn comes an ace, so I pick up a straight draw to a wheel, But at this point, I don't even think I believe myself in having an ace here, but at least I've got to try and convince it. I bomb out 8,000 into the middle for a very large overbet, which is followed by another call. So things are getting really dicey now, and another ace comes. Man, was there ever a worse card for me to see and bluff on? I, once again, don't know how believable this is. Unless I do bet an insanely large amount. But I have to ask myself this question. How desperate am I to win this pot? How tilted am I to blast an ungodly amount of money to win with just 4 high for this bounty game? Well, it's time to find out because my hands directly reach for red chips and it's a lot of them. I pick out 11 of the finest red chips out of my stack and fire it out into the middle for a healthy bet of 55,000. For one reason or another, I didn't want to call ace king high for 60,000, but just an hour later, I'm sticking 55,000 in the middle with just 4 high. Mariano isn't happy about this situation, and we have to sweat this out for a little bit, but he reluctantly throws his cards away, and I can breathe again. I get this bluff through, win the pot, and also an extra $5,000 along with it. But the action doesn't stop there. Now I can parlay into winning 4 hands in a row, which means the bonus is now doubled. Now there's a $10,000 incentive for me to win the next pot, and I put the $500 straddle on to fight for it. Mariano limps in the small blind. Turbo, who has been extremely snug today, raises to 3,000. Mike makes the call, and of course, I have to see the flop here with any 2 cards. So 8-6 offsuit will do. Mariano calls 2, trying to defend this pot against me, and flopping middle pair here on ace 8-4 is actually pretty decent, but the ace is scary with 3 other players in the mix, and action ends up checking around. The turn comes a 3, which is completely no help for me with just a pair of 8s, and Turbo fires 5,000 into the middle. Mike folds, and once again, I feel like I'm forced to call. I mean, this $10,000 bonus is huge, and I feel like I could be priced in here to try and improve. When the river comes a jack, Turbo slows down with a check, and I just take my hand to showdown, and I've got some bad news for everyone. At least for me, at least. I'm going to lose this pot and say goodbye to my hopes of winning this elusive bounty game bonus. But guess what opportunity comes in next? About an hour later, if you guessed anything other than the bounty game, I think you really need to start paying more attention to this video. But again, I've won 2 hands in a row. I'm looking for a third here as I straddle to $500. 2 people call the 500, and I've got 10-9 offsuit, and I say it's go time. I raise it up to 4,000, and Francisco is undeterred who makes the call, and so does Turbo. And on a flop of 8-6-4, this was the flop I wanted to see with 8-6, but once again, I've got a straight draw, and I'm very incentivized to win this pot. I bet out $10,000, and we get a quick fold from Francisco, which is amazing, but Turbo just has other ideas yet again. And it's obvious, given the hand that he has, he raises to 25,000. I've got some overcards. I've got a backdoor flush draw. I've got an inside straight draw. Let's try to get lucky today. One time, please. I call the $25,000 raise, and the turn is the 4 of clubs. The board is paired, and this is by far the worst card in the deck for me to see. And I don't think there's anything I can really do here but fold when Turbo jams. I'm just running into quite the rough patch with the bounty dynamics where the stakes are bumped up to the maximum, and I just can't find a way to make any sort of hand, so I'm going to lose this pot again. But with the stream winding down, the writing is on the wall that this will be a disastrous day for me. But at least there's this hand here to crawl me out. Mike raises the 600 from the blinds, and I defend with King 7 suited. And not the worst of all flops come on 8-7-5. We've got middle pair, and Mike bets 1,000. I'm not going anywhere for just 1,000, of course, so I call. The turn 3 of clubs doesn't change anything, and Mike once again bets out 2,500. I've watched him barrel money in the middle without much caution today, so it seems very reasonable here to call with second pair. And when the river bink 7, that is a card I am super excited for, and it definitely looks like a great card for me, and given how bad the night has been, maybe this is the one I'll finally get to win. But Mike bombs it again this time for $7,000, which is a very healthy sized bet. But given how much I'm losing, I take the greedy route. I really can't imagine raising is good normally, But when you're tilted and down almost $200,000, I've got to raise trips, I think. So I make it $20,000 here. And somehow, some way, man, I really find a way to run into a better hand today. Mike puts in yet another raise to $50,000, and you can see all the frustration and pain and anguish on my face. I am folding. I'm immediately out. My hand is pretty bad at this point, as Mike is only representing full houses, and I believe him. My frustrating night continues, and once again, finding a way to lose more. But thank you for watching to the very end here. This was like a car crash that you couldn't keep your eyes off of. Sometimes you are the one winning all the money, or the other times you just lose over $200,000. What a complete disaster. In the game for 250, out for this much, which you'll see on screen. I have nothing to say outside of being just defeated, disappointed, and I want to quit poker. That's what I got. Sadly, I don't really have much of a positive sentiment because I just lost almost $250,000 and I didn't have a chance to win. And that's what you sign up for when you play high stakes poker. But hopefully you enjoyed the content and there's some sort of a rebound.